great justice on about talking to us about if, Elif, and a statement. So, in many occasions, almost everything we do today, we use if, s, and then a Elif statement without actually knowing. If you get to school, if you didn't see the lecturer, then join another department. These are what you're actually using. If the condition is not there, then do this. For example, when Collins came in, he see that I was not talking, then he decided to talk about latecomers. So, because if he comes in and I was talking about, we're talking about if and else statement, he wouldn't have actually started talking about latecomers. So it is just the same thing. We apply if and else statement every day of our life without understanding that we are actually doing that. But the whole thing is that if and else statements are basically what we use in almost everything we are doing, because it is a condition that must be met, and if you didn't make that kind of condition, you go for another this thing. So it is really, really important to know where you use it, how you use it, and know that there are some of the if statements that just, if it is not like this, stop. For example, if you press your phone for a long time, if it is not power off, switched, and like there are two things that your power button works. If you press your phone, if you press your power bank, as in your power button, you have given it a statement. Now the next option is switch down, that is shut down, or restart. So these are two options. If it is switched or shut down, that means shut down, don't start again. But if it is restart, it means you are telling it that if it is not shut down, then restart. So these are conditions we use almost every day in our daily lives, and it is necessary and really necessary you understand how this statement works and where you need to apply it. For example, if I say that A is equal to 2, and then I say B is equal to 7, then you can just say that if a particular statement is greater than this, then do this. For example, if you see, if you look at what the AI generated automatically, you can see that it says if this statement is equal to this, do this. So I'm going to press tab for it to finish up this code for me. I say A is equal to 2 and B is equal to 6. If A is greater than B, that is greater than B, then print A is greater than B. Elif, that is if A is equal to B, print A is equal to B. S, if A is S, if it is not meeting up those three conditions that we have mentioned, then go ahead and tell us that A is less than B. So this is like a statement. So if you run this particular code, you will see that it will tell you that A is less than B because A is 2 and then B is 6. But if both of them are of the same statement, automatically it will tell you that A is equal to B. But if that is not true, let me say I added 9, it will automatically that tells you that A is greater than B. So this is a condition statement which tends to tell you if this happen, then do this. So primarily we have this kind of statement which is a condition statement. So when we are done with if, s, and Elif, we will go to the option of, we talk about try, we talk about while. These are conditions. So you use this condition to fix whatever you are doing. Use this condition to set up a parameters, and if it's aligned with what it is, automatically it is what it is. So this is what you need to understand. that you use if and then statements to make a lot of complication, like make a lot of statements, and if this statement actually meet to what it is, then it is. So this is if this is equal to this, then this. It is not just only a mathematical function like the way I put it up here. Now you can have other condition. You can say this, if it doesn't meet up with that requirement, then switch to this kind of a thing. I don't know, do you have question with any of these issues? Now if S or S, this is three primary thing I want you to really understand and know where are you to apply which one, and where do you need where do you use the other ones. So this is just like a condition, and this if and else can be looped in so many ways. Where you can have nested loop, where if the first loop is not met, the second loop is not met, the third loop is not met, then do this. That is the reason why if you are making a call, you will see that when we say retry, so after making the first call and the person did not pick, your phone will do redial. Now if he didn't pick, redial. If he pick, don't redial. That means we are open to talk. But what if you redial by 5 times? So if you redial the first time, like your phone automatically redial the first time, and he didn't pick, redial again after 3 minutes, and if he didn't pick, redial again after 5 minutes. So this is like a nested loop, where you say if the first statement didn't make, go to the second one. If the second is not satisfied, go to the third one. If the third is not satisfied, go to the fourth one. If the fourth is not satisfied, go to the fifth one. S, do this. So what I want you to understand is anytime you are saying X, you are saying okay, like you're giving up. It looks like something like you're giving up. If this didn't happen, S, do this. If this is not working, S, do this. So this condition must be made, and it is not just only in aspect of mathematical aspect. There are other aspects that this can actually be applied. So you need to understand at what point in time do you need to use any of these statements. So you know when do you need to use it, how do you need to use it at any point in time. So that is why I am taking this to like explain this, and Daniel have actually give us a perfect example. Now if you look at this code, this is just a perfect way. We have A and B which we have declared, and the statement said if A is greater than B, then say A is greater than B. Elif, which is, now you are giving another condition which is not greater, but what if A is equal to B? Then tell us that A is equal to B. S, that means if this condition is not met, then tell us that A is less than B. So in this case, if I change this into less than, it means that the first statement must be met. S, it should be the the last statement. So I want you to quickly, like critically look at into these 3 words that I said I put up there, and know when do you use which one, and how do you, in what real life example can you apply any of this. So this is what I want you to look at and make sure you understand this. And I think Daniel have actually given us enough information concerning any of this, and where we use it in data science. So you need to like master it and know where you're going to use any of them. So if, Elif, and S. So there are other condition statements like not, and, or. Now I want to talk about or, and in what we do in ArcGIS. For example, when you have an attribute table where you use and, is that I want to say that Daniel is a boy, then and Daniel is his name. So it means that if I use and, there will be another Daniel that is a girl, but I'm looking for a particular Daniel that is a boy and his name is Daniel. So I am giving 2 conditions that must be met. So it means that if the algorithm run, the first thing is going to look for is there Daniel? Yes. Is there a Daniel that is a boy? Yes. Before it can pick that particular statement and say it is true. But when I am using or, I am asking that any of these statements must be met. It does not necessarily mean that Daniel must be a boy, but if there is a Daniel that I see, pick it. And if there is a Daniel that is a boy, pick it. So that is all. And we are going to be using that almost in our ArcGIS when we want to make SQL query. So we use or in most cases, and that or means that any of the condition we are talking about must be met. Any of the condition we are talking about must be met. So it must not necessarily have to be, both statements does not have to be true, but one of them should be met, and that is when you are using or. So but when you are using and, both statements must be true before it will be qualified or before it will be accepted to work, and those conditions will be there. So then another thing we need to talk about when you are talking about statement again is pass. Then you use pass statement when you want to pass an information, like if this particular statement pass it, like then you talk about pass when you don't want it to throw an error. So when we'll be talking about try, except, we'll be talking about this detail. But the whole thing is that when you are using pass, you are simply telling this thing that pass this thing instead of you coming to tell me throw an error. Now another thing I want to let us understand again before we go into our writing is that every condition statement is being noted with indentation. Now what do I mean? This is wrong. If you look at this is not going to work because there is an indentation error. It is expected to have a block because it is going to be in block, and that block is going to be executed. We have what we call, this is the first block. So this first statement is going to be worked first before you go to the second one. So when you are working with when you are working with if and then statement, you must have this kind of, it must be in block, so the way it is. If not, that is not going to work. So this is what you need to note while you are working with if and else statement. So make sure you have this, and this is what is going to be. So if it is like this, you're going to have an indentation error, because automatically when you make a statement and you stop up like this, by when you press enter, it should form an indentation for you. So if it doesn't form indentation, that means this is not here. Like if you use here, and when you get to the end of this and you put comma and then go into put print and then press enter, print, then press enter, sorry, I have to make that again, and press enter, you see it is going to come up like this. So this is not what it's supposed to be. So you have to understand that every of these, once you get here and you press this and press enter, that is actually going to give you an enter. Yeah, so this is how it works. And when you are making all these statements, remember this particular Google Collaboratory have been well improved. That if you see here, you see you have this Gemini here, which is an AI that helps you make all this correction. For example, if I click on this, you automatically see that it is giving a suggestion. Let me remove this, and when I press this and run this code, it is actually telling me that there is a problem here, and it can help me fix this error. So you click on fixing error, and you see it suggested to you that this is the problem, do you need to resolve it? You can click OK, and that is going to resolve it for you. But there is something I want you to know before you start using AI to start working. What I want you to know is that AI cannot think for you, and AI cannot give you an insight. So when you are working, you can get all these things, but it's not in your brain. That's one thing I want you to know, because all these things you are doing, there are things AI can give you and there are things cannot. Like all these simple one, it can fix it in for you, but it cannot factor your condition or think out for you. So this is what you just need to know, because maybe you get to a job interview and they ask you a question, you're not going to ask AI. Or you go to practical job interview and they ask you to write a simple code that will do this, and then they are sitting down like that looking at you. Then you are sweating and looking for AI. So that is not how it works. So you need to understand that you should know how it works, because the only thing that AI can do for you is to help you fix your issues. So if you're writing a code just like I am writing, it automatically reading what I am doing and then try to give me a suggestion, but it cannot really think out for me. Like if you look at this code, you see that the indentation it gives me is here, which if I return it like this, with this particular phase of indentation and still run the same code, you see it is not going to throw an error. So if you look at this, if I press another indentation and run the code, you see that it is not giving me an issue. So these are things you need to know, because all these things are currently built in to help you code very fast, but it have disadvantage because it will not think out for you, and there will be a time you will stop thinking on how do you solve your problem, then you rely on it, and when you rely on it, it won't, when you get to complex things, you will have issues. So take your time. When you are coding, you need to know what you're coding for. Like as I make up this, you see it is now trying to put up this in for me, and it's giving me two options, and I can go in and select the first option, and this is what it thinks out for me. This is a simple way, so I can just quickly accept it, and that comes in here. So but the whole thing, like I said, is it is not going to think for you. So this is just what I want you to know. So the if and else statement, I don't really want us to waste time talking too much on it, but I just want you to understand if these following things, and then if you have any question, you let me know, because I just want to make like a simple demonstration, and then we are done for this. Then um we switch over to a little bit of the data that Collins gave us. Do you have any question? Please, can you ask me? Are you still with me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm asking, do you have any question on what I said so far,
Yes, yes, sir.
or I
And we
was
are
talking
clear.
to myself?
No, you were not talking to yourself, or we are with you.
Okay, so like I said, there are several all these things where you need to do. I've explained where you use if, I've explained where you use s, and just know that s, what s is talking about, is a keyword that if the condition is not there, it comes in. If the condition is not true, it comes in. But if the condition is true, which if is first proposing, that's the first thing it does. So after proposing, if the condition is true, then it acts. If it is not true, it will now go to s. So Elif is a keyword that you said if the condition previous the first condition you propose, which is if, is not true, then try this condition. So it look here, you see where we said if a is not true, then what about trying this? So these are different way you can try. So this is equal to comparing, this is greater, and if this statement is not true, then why can't you try this? Then s is if the statement you put is not working at all, then you can actually now proceed by the negative, is saying, oh, this is what is happening. Now a quick one, the way you can write this same code in a smaller way, you can actually say it like this, making all of them the same thing. You can actually say that if A is greater than B, as you see it end here, then you put them here. You can also do, you can say print, this is going to work. This is going to work. So you're still going to say that going to say that A is greater than B. Now, this is a single line statement. Now, it is in single line. It is not going to throw an error. It's not going to ask you for indentation. This is actually going to work. So this is a short way of executing the same thing. So if you have only one statement to execute, or one of it, like you can put them in a single line, like the way I put it here. I just want to put a simple statement, and I want it to be in a single line. So this is how you can make a single line statement, and that is also going to work. So you write everything in single line, and then it is going to work for you. So if you have one statement that you need to make, then that is going to work for you. You put them in line, in single line, and it works. So but remember that you must declare the first variable first. After declaring variable, that's when it's going to work, because this one I did here was the variable which he picked up from up here, and then continue with it. So that is the way you can do those do it. Then, like I said, I've talked about or, and I said or is a what you use in combining statements. You use it in combining statements. So when two things does not work, so you use it. For example, if I want to use or, I can actually say, let me say that A, we have defined our A, but if I say if A is now, let's say that A is greater than B, or A is equal to B, or A is greater than C, or is equal to D. So whichever way, this is now a perfect example of how you can build or statement. So both statements, A is greater than B. So both statements, you must make at least one of the statements have to be true. So when one of the statements is true, then you are going to have a positive answer. And then or not is actually used in checking a keyword that you actually use to check the reverse result of a statement. If it is not this, then this. So you can use not the same way you use or, and the same thing happened to next if. Now, what do I mean by next if? Nested if is a kind of statement that you use to like check inside the statement. When you will be writing a real lifetime code, you are going to be making a very long statement, and that long statement you are going to be having nested if. Like for example, that I say A is equal to 60, and then I go ahead and say that if X is greater than, let's say, 10 in this way, then I will now ask it to print. I'll now ask you to print something like it is above 10. Okay, so this is example of next statement. Then s, remember this s have to come on and out of the loop, as you can see. So this is exactly what I can call next statement. So you go in here to check this, then go inside again to check this before coming out. So you nested this thing inside here. X is greater than this, print this. But if, look at the line it is what I want you to understand. Look at the line it is. Now you see here that I have next statement here. This is the first line of this indentation. This is the second line of the indentation. It have to run here, check this statement. If it is true, you run again, check this. If it is S, it comes out before it comes out again to say, to tell you it is complete. So for example, if you run this particular code, that is going to provide an error because this last statement, we don't have to have two S statements. Sorry, you see, this is one of the issue I'm talking about AI. it didn't even know that it is wrong, so it is completely giving me this. So this is what it's supposed to be, because it's a next statement, matters arising. This if this is equal to this, what did I do wrong? This is printing if x is greater than 10, then print this. Sorry, the problem was I used a, and I'm using a here, and if I run this, the if have indentation issue. That is, if this is x is a is greater than 10, then print this. This is indentation issue, then this is supposed to be inside, so this is what is supposed to be here. This indentation, this if this, so this is what we call nested. You nest this next if. The first if is this first thing. If 10 is greater, a is greater than 10, print above 10. If a is greater than 20, print above 20. If s, print this. You see now that it gives you above 20, then this. So if I change this thing to 18, that means the second if is not correct. So I'm going to run this code. Now you see that it's only going to print 1. First statement is satisfied, is above this. Second statement is also satisfied, it goes this. Now what if I go down here and still say if a is greater than 30 here, and I say down here if a is greater than 30, and I put up this, and I say enter, and I say print. I'm going to accept this above 30, and then I'll take out this because this one is against the rules. So I'll take out this. See, now you're going to have 3 nested if. Now this is above, it is 10, there is no problem. But when I change this thing to 40, sorry, I say 30, so when I change it to 40, that means it is going to run the first one, second one, third one. I'm going to have above 30, above 10, above 20, above 30 before s. So I'm going to run the code. You see I will have 3 results. So this is what we call next if, because first if, second if, third if, before it comes out again to say s, print this. Now what if I make this thing up to 5 and then run the same thing? You will realize that it is going to be below 20. Why? Because the first thing you need to do is to check this first one, and then it goes to s, because this did not meet up again, so it leaves the rest of them. So this is how you can use. And the last one, like I said, we need to talk about, which I have explained about it, is pass. How do you use pass? You can say something like, if let's say you have let me say a is equal to, let me say a is equals to 23, and then b is equal to, let's say 100, and then you come here and say if, and I'm making the statement that if is greater than this, then pass it. Now if you run this particular code, what will you get? You will have this instead of it throwing an error, because you know that a is not greater than b. Instead of it throwing an error, what do? You say pass. Do you get what I'm saying now? If I remove this, you just use pass to pass it to avoid it throwing an error. This is incomplete statement. But once I put pass here, a pass is a built-in function. As you can see, if I click on it, I've showed you how you can check what is a built-in function. Once you type in something, and then once you get to it, click on this, and you're able to see what is it. So if you click on this, you'll see that it will pass it. Instead of throwing an error, it will just pass it without giving any kind of result. So on this note, I want you to ask me a question. If not, we'll be stopping here, and we have 7 minutes for our break. Then we come back for our content. All right, do you have any question? We have 6 minutes remaining. Our G We're starting our GIS. Go ahead, Sterling.